I am Jacob Harris.
And I am Tim Williams.
This is Total Physique Talk, and we're going to talk about Total Physique. I'm going to say that every single time.
Well, I know you are. And I'm going to cringe every single fucking time.
This is the environment we can bring here. If you come and join, you'll see. I want to talk a little bit about what we have here. We discussed opening, what some of the goals are.
Yep.
Now we want to talk a little bit about what's here. And given that we're both big children,
Yes,
it was important we have a kids area.
we do. And it allows me to watch Netflix and anime while I train. That was the primary derivative of that decision. Also, I have a zoo worth of children, so I need somewhere to put them.
I have no children that I'm aware of, but it's good to know that my clients have somewhere the children can sit and enjoy some television, maybe
Yeah.
some refreshments. You know?
It's basically like baby UFC fight club. Close the gate. Hope for the best.
Yeah, I like the idea of it. What's the idea behind like not having a creche, even though we kind of know?
Obviously, the creche thing is a creche is an aspect that needs to be put into a commercial gym because there's such a large member base of clients with kids coming into the gym to use the facility just for their gym membership. So most of our people coming in are coaching clients, and obviously within a smaller number of members. So to have the facilities for a creche staff, creche insurance, all that extra stuff, it just didn't make sense. And with the way we have it set up, you can see your kids from anywhere in the gym, pretty much. So
Every parent's dream. Yeah.
yes, it's great. You just get reminded why you got them in the first place. But the idea was that people could come to the gym, obviously, and as long as their kids are okay to be left unsupervised. Obviously, we've got the Netflix and the toys and the beanbags and all that sort of stuff. So I wanted, for one, to be able to bring my kids to the gym. Obviously, I've got 4, and I've got 2 little girls who are hard work. So somewhere to enclose them was a prerequisite. But we wanted somewhere for our members to be able to bring their kids and still have that aspect of not having to find a sitter or, get away from the house, and they can bring them with them. Obviously, if they want to sit there with an iPad or watch Netflix on the TV or play with the toys, they can do. So,
And so the equipment side of things, as we mentioned before, this is a smaller gym. We're going to be a little bit more selective about what we're using here because we don't have all the room in the world.
Yep.
And we're also fairly opinionated on equipment.
yeah, you could say that. It's I think obviously when people think of small box gyms like these private gyms, they think of deadlift platforms and squat racks and essentially just like a CrossFit box or something similar, or like group fitness class facility. Whereas we do have, I guess you could say, a downsized commercial fit out. We do have all of these sort of necessities that you would have in a commercial gym, like leg press and lat pull down, all these sorts of machines that allow you to get obviously the level of workout in that you would get in a commercial gym, just obviously not as on the big scale.
And so just going over some of the stuff that we do have here, the first main one being the pendulum squat.
Yes.
This was obviously like a necessity.
So the pendulum squat, along with the stereo, were the 2 things on the prerequisite list. Obviously, and some space to do what we're doing now with podcasts and seminars and stuff like that. So the pendulum was the first piece of equipment on the list that was a prerequisite. So we were lucky enough to get looked after by the guys up at Kinta Fitness for that one. So it's definitely been a mainstay in the gym. A lot of people like it. A lot of people have come to train here because we've got one. And obviously they're a very popular piece of equipment at the moment. So it definitely gets used a lot. Might have to get a second one.
Well, that's kind of part of it because we're going to talk about what we have and then what we're going to get. So we'll circle back around to that because I want to get into what we want to get because that's the biggest part of it. We've got like a leg press, just a regular, is it pre-core?
It is I'm not too sure.
I think it's pre-core, like a 45
Yes,
degree.
it is. It's 45 degree pre-core.
Pretty standard leg press. I find there's lots of weird ones out there. Some of them just really
The horizontal and the pin loaded ones and stuff like that.
Not a fan. There's also another one. I think I'd only ever use it at Gold's. It's the one that's like really high and the whole.
Oh, there's like a pendulum leg press.
That
Almost like a pivoting one.
It was cool because you could do like 400 kilos on it and it felt like nothing, but
I've almost got to fold myself in half like a cheap lawn chair to fit into the thing in the first place. So
yeah, I'm not a huge fan of those ones. So this is good, just like standard good leg press, standard leg extension and lying hammy curl, I would say.
Yep.
Just the good ones. And then we've got a single leg hamstring curl, which is like, they're not really
like a standing one. Yeah.
Yeah, they're not really everywhere either, but like I'm quite a fan of them because otherwise,
see that piece of equipment, funnily enough, because I massively over ordered when it comes to flooring. So we were lucky enough that the team at Dynamo Fitness were happy to take back the excess of flooring and give us credit. So the standing hamstring curl was a piece of equipment that I got with that credit. And I've used them in the past, and a lot of them that when you get to the top of the range, the arm falls towards you and you lose tension off the hamstring. Whereas that one, it doesn't do that. It's actually quite a nice piece of kit for the price we paid for it. So
I've used it excessively and I also quite like it. And I basically used to just go from my lower back to the floor, and now there's some meat back there. So it's working.
Yeah.
I can vouch for it.
yeah, building some creamy hamstrings.
Trying my best instead of, having an actual fucking hamstring as a hamstring, which is pretty much where I was. We're going to go to, we've got like, it's just a lat pull down machine, but it has the row as well.
Yeah, it's a cable lat pull down seated row variation machine.
Probably the more common, like a pre-core one. It's the common one that you would see in a lot of gyms. Standard and good. The other one is the shoulder press, which you're a big fan of.
The plate loaded one.
The plate loaded.
Yes, it's a plate loaded hammer strength shoulder press. So it's an older model, but obviously it still works quite well. I am a fan of the tapered back plate loaded shoulder press. So not everyone is, but I think it works quite well. We've got a few hammer strength pieces in here. So
yeah, so we've got the chest press is hammer strength as well.
the pin loaded chest press is Lifestyle Fitness, I believe.
Okay.
The seated calf raise is hammer strength.
We're going to get into that though, because we're going to replace that.
I don't like that.
Yeah, we're going to replace that. Would you be open to a standing calf raise?
I would, because the current one is like the ginger stepchild. It's just not welcome.
I didn't think it was going to be a total physique talk without that happening.
me being inappropriate somewhere. Because it's funny enough, because I'm ginger and I'm probably falling into that category. So, but as with some machines, even with brands like Hammer Strength and stuff, even though they're big brands, it's still proof that you can still stuff up a piece of equipment.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, seated calf raises have never been my favourite anyway. I've always preferred standing. I just like the feel of them better. But yeah, there's definitely, I think part of it's got to do with the foot plate being like on a slant.
I don't think it's the foot plate. I think it's more so the way in which the arm that locks onto the top of your quads is pivoted and the way it sits. I think the range of movement in it is too much, and the pad that goes on top of your quads doesn't actually sit flat. It actually sits on an angle, so it sits on the corner of it. So that's the biggest issue that I have with it. Obviously, we might be able to chop it apart and modify it, but I think it'd probably just be easier to find a more suitable one.
Yeah, I definitely would love a standing as well, because there's nothing that quite feels like the standing.
Yeah, the stretch in standing's pretty good.
I just don't feel like you can emulate it in a Smith machine personally. It's not quite the same. Personally, I feel like there's
I think the way in which and that's one of the pieces of equipment that I really liked at Doherty's in Brunswick in Melbourne, is their standard calf raise, or standing calf raise, sorry, is this prehistoric looking thing, and the foot plate is actually wood, and it's actually got grooves worn into it because it's been obviously used that much. But I think some machines were made well the first time around, and then people should stop fucking around with it and just leave shit the way it is.
I agree. Yeah, I definitely think things can be over-designed as well.
Of course, and it's like taking the wheel and trying to reinvent it to try and have a selling point. It's like, okay, cool. Like, I mean, for instance, one of the first gyms I ever worked in had like the most old school equipment possible, and it all worked perfectly fine. It didn't need to be reinvented. Obviously, machines like the pendulum that have come out in the last 5-10 years, to say something like that.
Yeah, it's not been around that long.
Are a decent improvement, but there's lots of pieces of equipment like a seated cable row is a seated cable row, and a lat pull down is a lat pull down. Like they're cable machines. You could possibly improve the pulleys and the cable system, but the general mechanics of the machine and the way it's designed doesn't need to be changed. So I'm not sure why all these companies try and come out with these over-engineered pieces of equipment.
I find the single leg press one funny because even though there's going to be probably so many people that are like, I love that. I remember the first time I used one of those, so strange. Like, and to me, it's always funny that you can just simply take one of your legs off the plate when you're
well, coming back to your comment they made before that, like we're not a massive facility. We've got 320 square meters. That's including our mezzanine floor. So we need to be more mindful of the pieces that we have. Like there's been a few pieces of equipment that have come up for sale where I've been like, oh, it'd be really nice to have like an incline chest press. And I'm like, but we've got a Smith machine and we've got dumbbells and we've got incline benches and we've got other pieces that can sort of fill that void. So if we are going to get more pieces of equipment, which we are, it's either got to be a piece that we can't emulate another way, or we want to improve on the one we've got.
Yeah, exactly. Which is the idea that we would keep doing that as well, because that's going to bring us to the belt squat.
Yes.
We had a funny little debate on this one.
Yes, we did.
If you look at anyone who's used the belt squat where the weight is positioned directly under you will vouch for it. Mm-hmm. It really is miles apart from whatever the one that we had. It's like front loaded. I feel it just all come in like through my knees on these ones.
Well, instead the ones that you're mentioning is where the cable comes up through the foot plate, as opposed to a lever arm where you attach yourself to the end of the lever. So like there is that slight forward pull, so the weight's not essentially moving straight down, it's trying to pull you slightly forward, so you do need to resist that in some way.
Yeah, I think that underneath is just, I'm a big fan of that. I will definitely push for that to be here one day, which I know will be one hell of a fight to get you to make that happen, but I will try my best. I think that they're good. I've used like botched ones before that someone made.
Yeah.
And I just found, to be honest, it was just less awkward and people liked it, I think, just simply because it gave a lot of people who can't squat as well confidence to squat a bit more, build a lot of leg strength.
Oh, of course. And I think it's one of those things where it's a piece of equipment that takes a lot of spinal loading, like vertical loading through the spine. I mean, I'm slightly broken through my back, so it's nice to be able to squat with sufficient weight without having that direct spinal loading that you would get from, say, like a bar.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And I think it just kind of comes down to finding, once again, the right design, because there's going to be 1,000 out there.
Oh, of course. And I think that's definitely something as obviously the facility starts growing in revenue, that sort of thing, we can start looking at obviously upgrading pieces of equipment and looking at, okay, what's going to be the best piece for us to add to the repertoire that we've got here, rather than sort of like, for people that know the story behind the gym, it wasn't a planned thing. It was like, okay, have a discussion, 2.5 months later we're open, and we did the fit out in 5 weeks. So it was a bit of a scramble, and we were quite lucky to get what we did in that space of time. So it's been decent. So
yeah, I think as well, like just going off what the rest of what you have here, there's like enough. I mean, at this point, we've got 3 different cable machines, you want to put it that way. One of them having like another lat pull down and like a seated row attachment, but then also 2 attachments either side. It's like a multi
4-in-1 station sort of thing.
Yeah, 4-in-1 station. We picked up another one, so that gives you like the right, close cables next to each other, and then we've got the one that's like got the arms,
fully adjustable lever arms on it.
Yeah, which is like one of the best ones I've used, so that's good. We've got like dumbbells that go to 50 kilos, 2 squat racks. One of the things I want to squat rack wise, I'll be loving some specialty bars. So
yeah, and that's definitely on the cards. I think we want to try and have all of these, not say novelty pieces of equipment, but sort of specialty stuff that allows you to come in and that a lot of commercial gyms won't invest the money in, because like most commercial gyms are for Gen Pop sort of thing. So like, and it's not to say Gen Pop can't use them, it's just that we don't usually see them because they are a bit of specialty equipment, like the belt squat that you were talking about previously.
Yeah, I think as well, like I know that, safety bars to me, I just love having them because they're good for people to use, but also you'd mentioned like a transformer bar at one point isn't necessary, but at the same time, having something like that it helps set you apart as well. We
Yeah,
give
of
that,
course.
like, people can use something that you're not going to get in every gym, and also it's the sort of thing where once again we're bringing into that concept that there's not thousands of people here, so you actually get to use something too.
Oh, for sure. There's nothing like there's nothing worse than going to a gym that's got a piece of equipment you want to use, and there's, there's like an Uber line behind it waiting for people to try and get onto it. I mean, it's some gyms have only got like one lap pull down, and they're a commercial gym, so I can only imagine what it'd be like trying to fight for a specialty piece in a gym that size.
Yeah, well, we've got 2 lap pull downs, and we're pretty arguably there's places for you to create another 1 or 2 lap pull
Oh, of course, yeah.
So it gives us a lot of space, but that kind of covers most of what we have kind of, besides we do have a seatbelt hip thrust.
Yes, we do. That one is not too bad. Like, I think it's definitely different, but we've got a decent range of stuff. Obviously, we got the plate loaded hammer row as well.
That's right. Yeah,
We have the T-bar row coming tomorrow. The plate loaded T-bar row.
we've got a Smith machine.
Yes, another Smith machine.
Awaiting another one.
Yeah, so the second one, it'll either be this Friday that we pick it up. So it'd be nice having a second one.
Yeah, kettlebells from like 4 to
36.
36, and then we've got a 45-degree back extension, probably one of the most important pieces of equipment in a gym.
Yeah.
And
It's actually a really nice one too.
I like that one. I like that one. It feels nice. And then are we still getting the glute ham?
Like a GHD sort of thing.
Nah, the Nordic curl.
Yeah, that's just another piece that I've got to add to the list. Like, obviously, I've just only got back into the country in the last week or so, so it's now going around and scooping up all these pieces that we've had earmarked, and then adding those to the repertoire in the gym, moving a few things around.
We've got 2 trap bars, deadlift bars.
Yes, we do.
How many deadlift bars? 1, 2,
Yeah, 2 or 3, something like that.
and then we got power bars.
We got the Dufflo bar as well, the curved squat bar.
So we've got 1 specialty bar already, Duffalo bar. I like using that for bench press, actually. What else, as we kind of wrap up, are we looking for in the future? Like, what's something you definitely want in the gym? Seated hammy curl?
Seated hammy curl, yes. And an abductor, adductor machine would definitely be something to add to the list. Possibly another squat machine, like a hack squat. Obviously, heavier dumbbells as we start to need them. But yeah, I think it's just getting a few other bits and pieces here and there, maybe some more specialty back pieces of equipment. Obviously, like a GHD, like a glute ham raise would be good. Maybe new cable attachments, a few different stuff like that. But I think it's just going to be, okay, like what do we need? What's going to, asking our coaching clients, coaching staff, what's going to make the facility better? Like, what do we need? Like, what's going to really help people here? That's going to be different to somewhere else. Like, where we can be a bit more specialty, like even if it's possibly getting equipment that can help with athletic performance, like vertical jump testing or stuff like that, just throwing ideas out there.
Yeah. Well, we've also only been in here for a short time, and there's much to grow.
Yep.
So for the most part, and people, wanting to be aware of what we have, that is what we have.
Yep.
You know what we want to get, and we will see what happens from there.
Yes.
We have pretty much covered everything in this one. We will see you on the next one. I'm Jacob Harris.
And I'm Tim Williams.
This has been Total Physique Talk. We'll see you next time.